Hunter Biden getting slapped in the face again after the implosion of his sweetheart plea deal. The first son thought he'd be popping the champagne with his bong-ripping sugar brother lawyer over how they conned a judge into giving the first son immunity from future crimes. But then the judge torpedoed the whole thing. And just hours ago, it looks like Hunter ain't getting bailed out by Pops. Oh.
Is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Well,
I just said no. I just answered.
Hunter's crack team of lawyers are said to be fuming at the judge for daring to question the original plea deal, personally attacking her for being appointed by Trump, and even comparing the judge to Lance Ito. Remember the guy from the O.J. Simpson murder trial? The facts swirling around Hunter are pretty damning, so naturally the liberal media is working overtime to cover for the first son.
They're weaponizing Joe Biden's son against him.
It's only going to add more fuel to the political fire that Republicans were stoking on Capitol Hill as they move forward with a potential impeachment charge.
That's the goal of what they want to do. They want to muddy up Joe Biden in the minds of voters ahead of the reelection.
They are going to try to indict a father for loving his son who has been addicted to drugs and or alcohol, and without evidence of the father doing anything other than loving that son.
And get a load of this. As Republicans mull impeaching Joe Biden, Adam Schiff says you can't do it without evidence. Now, how crazy could that be?
The Republican desire to impeach someone, anyone, no matter whether there's any evidence, just shows how they have descended into chaos.
Okay. I'm going to start with you, Jessica.
Oh, that's an interesting angle.
I know, I'm going to try it. If this does move into an impeachment inquiry, and all of this evidence that I so eloquently have presented the American people for all these years finally comes out in a full hearing, what will the Democrats' defense be? Because right now it's hear no evil, see no evil.
I don't think that that's true. And we talked about it. I was here Tuesday, I guess. And I said, if he did something really wrong, then lock him up. That's how this works. I'm not afraid of an impeachment inquiry, though you should be honest about the fact that you're not going to get one. You have all of these Republicans that have been on TV talking about it. Ken Buck says it's theater, the shiny object. Tony Gonzalez says people at home are concerned about real things. Mike Lawler, Richard Hudson, saying no one is seriously considering this, except Kevin McCarthy, who wants to go on TV all the time and pretend as if it's happening. So it's not happening, and I know that that's sad for you. And I hate to burst your bubble about it, but
not bursting, still bubbling.
Okay, you bubble as long as you want.
Oh,
but I'm just telling
bubble
you,
whenever I want.
I wouldn't try to stop you. But I'm not afraid of it. And I think that this would actually be a day of celebration for people who think that the system is rigged and we have the two-tiered system of justice because Hunter Biden didn't get the, quote, sweetheart deal. And I was watching Stephanie Ruhle last night. She had on Joyce Vance, who was a U.S. attorney. And she said that the judge asked all the right questions, that this was a completely appropriate response to it, and that there were things in the deal that hadn't been made public yet. So I'm not seeing the outrage about it. Yes,
well,
if you want to
because the judge smelled a rat that the DOJ was in cahoots with Hunter's legal team and then blew the thing up.
It'll be interesting so David Weiss, the U.S. attorney that handled this case, wants to set the record straight because there are a lot of people, seems like, lying about what happened there. So he'll be testifying before the Oversight Committee. Get your popcorn ready. I assume that he's going to defend the deal and how all of this was handled. But I'm not concerned. And I think, it's great that the White House just said absolutely no pardon.
Okay, we'll see if that holds. Judge Jeanine?
We know today a lot that we didn't know yesterday. And we knew it was a con. We knew that there was favoritism. But what we didn't know yesterday was what we found out today in the plea agreement. And the plea agreement makes it clear that that plea that was supposed to go down yesterday was not for anything in perpetuity, as Biden's lawyers suggested and lied to the court. Because I have before me the very transcript as well as the plea agreement, which says this does not cover anything going forward and it does not provide protection against prosecution for any future conduct. So Biden's attorneys lied to the court. And when they realized that wasn't on the table, they were like, we're not going to do this. Okay, it was in writing. Everybody knew it, and the court knew it. But that's not the end of it, because this is the same attorneys that the judge was able to go back and find out who called the court clerk and said, take the whistleblower testimony out of the transcript. All right. And in addition to that, what's new today that we didn't know yesterday is that the plan was that after the defendant served probation on 2 misdemeanor tax convictions, that those convictions were going to be erased. Erased. Are you kidding me? It's unheard of. And let me tell you something else about how corrupt the DOJ is. You can say 2 years probation on a misdemeanor conviction, but the probation officer can say, you're good now. I'm taking you off probation after 6 months. You don't need my permission to do that. And let me just respond to Adam Shiftless, because I have to. I can't say it. This is a guy who believes you have to have evidence. They indicted Trump on a call where he said, I want to know what happened in Ukraine with Joe Biden. The right establishes that Joe Biden's son and John Kerry's son-in-law were on a board of a company in Ukraine where they were making $83,000 a month, and for which Hunter didn't report or pay taxes on that $83,000 a month. And in addition to that, Joe Biden goes over and says, I have $1 billion of American taxpayers' money, and I'm not giving it to you, Ukraine, unless you get rid of the prosecutor Shokin, who is investigating the company that my son is on. If that ain't evidence, whatever his name is.
But it's the opposite of that. Victor Shokin was fired for not doing the investigation into Burisma. It's the exact opposite
You're
of what
wrong about that.
I'm not.
He was investigating
Victor
Burisma.
Shokin was investigating Burisma, and Joe Biden admitted by his own voice in January of 2018, he said, the bottom line is, I told him, you don't get the prosecutor off the case, I'm not going to give you the money.
Let's move it along. Let's move it along.
I hate going first, by the way.
Okay, well, now you're going first all the time. Greg Gutfeld.
Well, he thought that he had a vaccine, right? That's what this was. And instead, it was like a Chinese crack pipe. It just fell apart. You know, it is amazing to watch all of these women swoon over a reckless misogynist. This guy does more harm to women than TikTok and syphilis. And in Hunter's world, the usual sweetheart plea is, please put on 5 condoms. But it's entertaining to see how these women excuse with Hunter everything they condemned with Trump. So I came up with a new game show. It's called What's Worse? Or Whataboutism with Greg Gutfeld.
Oh, I love this.
So, number 1, what's worse? Paying for sex with a porn star or subsidizing a sizable portion of the sex trafficking industry? What's worse? Saying grab them by the P word privately on a bus or throwing around the N word like it's a pronoun for blacks on your phone when you're buying drugs? What's worse? Talking about how hot your daughter is or denying she actually exists?
Oh.
What's worse? Saying you want to build a wall or trying to frame brown-skinned people as illegals for when you leave your gun in a garbage can. Remember he told the police, I think they're illegals. Finally, what's worse? Having a crazy relative named Mary say you're just a big meanie or immediately banging your brother's widow and compounding her grief with addiction and perversity. I find myself increasingly jealous of Hunter to do such horrible things and have so many people in the media defend him. You know, as America's bad boy, it defeats the purpose. What's the risk of being bad if everybody ignores it?
I think we should play that game every show.
I think it's an actual show. It's Fox Nation, hosted by Greg Gutfeld, but you're going to have to pay me for it.
All right. Then that's a no. Sandra.
My response to Jessica saying she's not worried is I would ask, are you worried about some of the things that the judge said in that room? Which, as we go through that, it's remarkable what she was asking in that room. She first started out by saying some of the provisions in this are not standard. They're different from what I normally see, only to go on to the DOJ prosecutor standing there and ask, have you ever seen anything like this? The response was, no, ma'am. You had this entire sweetheart plea deal fall apart before the American public, growing calls, whether you agree this is happening or not, from the GOP for an impeachment inquiry. I'm covering the White House press briefing during America Reports today, and you don't even have a press asking Karine Jean-Pierre about it. It is unbelievable, the media treatment of both of these stories. I will finish with this, there still could be a plea deal. And I think it's important to acknowledge that. Yeah. We're going to watch this play out for the next month or so, and they could certainly work things out. I think that needs to be said. This could still happen.
Yeah, it'll probably still happen. And it's going to be even more corrupt than the first one.
Can I just... I have an answer to abstain.
Okay, go ahead. Fine.
Just really quickly.
Are you worried?
I'm not worried. I thought it was really interesting. We'll see what David Weiss has to say about it when he goes before the Oversight Committee. To the game. And a lot of that is bad on both sides there. But Hunter Biden isn't running for president, and he isn't the president.
It's about
so
Joe
they're not
Biden.
comparable. Well, Joe Biden definitely didn't use the N-word in text messages.
No,
and
he just
throw a gun.
he just gave a eulogy at Grand Kleagle's funeral.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.